If you've been to Vegas, you've probably slept in one of these hotels. Of course, you never once asked what happened in that room before you checked in, who slept in it, or who might have died in it. This is why you need to know ahead of time, before you book your next trip, unless you want to potentially get a little bonus experience during the night. So, let's go over the most haunted hotels on the Las Vegas Strip. These are not unknown little hotels. These are popular hotels on the Strip, where millions of tourists sleep every year with no idea what's in the room with them. Nobody thinks about any of this when they're booking. But if you're even a little sensitive to this kind of thing, this is the list you want before you go. First one, unsurprisingly, is the Luxor, that 30-story black pyramid at the south end with the light beam you can supposedly see from space. It opened in 1993, and a lot of people believe it was cursed before it was ever finished. Those steep sloping walls made it one of the most dangerous builds in the history of Las Vegas. During construction in 1992, one worker fell to his death from the scaffolding. Months later, another was killed when a construction boom swung into him. Those two deaths are documented, and the rumor that has followed the Luxor ever since is that there were more, quietly kept out of the papers to protect the opening. But here's the part that should really stop you. Because the Luxor is a pyramid, it's hollow. Every single room opens onto an interior balcony that looks straight down into one enormous open atrium, a clean 30-story drop to the casino floor. And over the years, an alarming number of guests have gone over those railings, not accidents. People check in, ride the elevator up to their floor, seem completely fine, and at some point in the dark, they step off. Most of them leave no note, no warning, no reason anyone could ever find. It has happened again and again and again, more than at any other hotel in this city, and nobody can tell you why. That's the thing about the Luxor. All of that death, the men who died building it, everyone who went over that railing into the dark. It doesn't just disappear. A building holds on to what happens inside it, and the Luxor has more to hold than most, which is why nobody who spent a night on one particular floor ever forgets it. The 12th floor. The people who've slept up there all describe the same night. You're asleep, and somewhere in the dream, there's a woman, blonde, standing a little too close, just watching you. And that's the moment you wake up. Except, you can't move, and you can't breathe, because there is weight on your throat, real pressure, fingers. You're clawing at your own neck in the dark, gasping, heart slamming against your ribs. And the second you drag in a breath and sit up, the room is empty. Every single time, empty. One woman staying up there in December of 2016 woke to the feeling of something crawling down her face, down her cheek, across her neck, and then a hand closing around her. She threw herself out of the bed, and it was her husband, sitting up wide awake beside her, who went white. Because he'd watched the whole thing happen. He said there was a woman standing right at the edge of the bed, leaning over his wife, blonde, wearing a hat. And while he was looking straight at her, she was gone. Same woman, same floor, room after room after room. And you can still book the 12th floor tonight. Walk north from the pyramid and the next hotel looks like the safest place on the entire Strip. It isn't. This is Planet Hollywood, built on the bones of the old Aladdin, the hotel where Elvis married Priscilla and Sinatra played the lounge. And everything that happens here happens on one floor. The 7th. It starts gentle. A knock at your door, late, 3, 4 in the morning. You get up, look through the peephole, empty hallway. You open the door anyway, nobody. So, you get back into bed, and that's when you hear it. A voice right next to your ear, close enough that you feel the breath of it, whispering something you can't quite make out. Guests have felt the mattress sink beside them, like someone just sat down on the edge of the bed. Footsteps crossing the room while they lie there frozen, staring at the ceiling. Nothing ever hurts you at Planet Hollywood. It's worse than that. You just slowly understand that you were never alone in that room to begin with. That's a haunting you can sleep through. A few blocks up is the one people never should have. Today the sign says Horseshoe. For years it was Bally's, but in 1980 this was the MGM Grand. And on the morning of November 21st, faulty wiring lit a fire that tore through it. 85 people died. Some counts say 87. And most of them never felt the flames. They died in their sleep, on the upper floors, choking on black smoke in the dark before they ever woke up. And that same tower is still standing. It's part of the hotel you can check into tonight. So, here's what happens up on those upper floors now. It starts with the smell, smoke, sharp and acrid. The smell of something burning, drifting down a hallway where nothing is on fire and nobody is smoking. You wake up in the dark and there is someone lying on the bed beside you. Just a shape, a person on their side, not moving, lying exactly the way the ones who died were found, taken by the smoke in their sleep. And when you reach for the lamp, you're alone. One woman watched a figure stand at the foot of her bed for 3 full minutes before it slowly came apart and vanished. Another called down to the front desk screaming because there was a pair of bare feet hanging in the middle of her room. Just feet, floating. Nothing above them, and people still hear it, up in the stairwell, screaming, coming from the direction everyone was running the night it burned. But the one I can't get out of my head is down on the casino floor. There's a bank of slot machines where people keep seeing an older woman, playing 2 of them at once, a cigarette going, smoke curling up around her face. And it's only when they step closer that they realize it isn't cigarette smoke at all. Her dress is on fire. She's burning alive at the machine, and she never stops playing. Whatever you believe about ghosts, 85 people is not a legend. That part is documented. It happened right here, where somebody is pulling that same slot handle tonight. The fire is the deadliest single night in the history of the Strip. But the oldest ghost on it goes back further, to a murder in 1947. And to the man who built the whole idea of Las Vegas. The Flamingo is the oldest resort still standing on the Strip, 1946. And it only exists because of a mobster named Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. Siegel poured mob money into building this place. It went wildly over budget. And the men he owed started to believe he was stealing from them. On June 20th, 1947, Bugsy was sitting on the couch in his girlfriend's Beverly Hills living room, reading the LA Times, when a rifle barrel came up to the window behind him. 9 shots. One of them hit him so hard it blew his eye clean out of his head and across the room. And here's the detail every other ghost video gets wrong. He did not die at the Flamingo. He died in Beverly Hills. But this hotel was his obsession, and they say he came back for it. Guests in the presidential suite have woken in the night to the thick smell of cigar smoke in a non-smoking room, and a man standing in the corner in a smoking jacket, not moving, just watching them. Right beside the custom green bathroom fixtures Bugsy picked out for himself. Out by his little memorial in the wildlife garden, people turn around to find a figure standing at the plaque, and then it's gone. And in some of the rooms, in the dead of night, guests have heard it. The hard crack of a pool break, balls scattering and dropping into pockets, a game being played fast and violent, in a room with no pool table and no one else in it. Bugsy's ghost is almost charming. The next one isn't, because the next one is a child. And if clowns already get to you, maybe skip the next 90 seconds. Circus Circus opened in 1968, and it has the darkest reputation of any hotel on the Strip, and it centers on one room. Room 1, 2, 3. Where the story goes, a mother shot her little boy and then turned the gun on herself. And ever since, people on that part of the first floor hear it. A child crying somewhere close by. A small voice begging for help. Guests have stepped out of the shower to find 2 words dragged through the fog on the bathroom mirror. Help me. And the staff have seen him. A little boy, alone in the hallway, in the middle of the night, crying, searching for something he can't find. Sometimes he isn't alone. Sometimes he's holding his mother's hand, and the 2 of them walk right up to a guest and ask, very politely, if they've seen a man named Robert. Nobody knows who Robert is, and the moment you open your mouth to answer, they're gone. Now, here's my honest fact check, because I promised you the truth. We looked into room 123, and Circus Circus says that room doesn't exist, that all their rooms are 4 digits, so the specific story is probably a myth. But the darkness here is not. There was a real double murder in a room in this hotel in 2018, and for years this place was run by a mobster named Tony the Ant Spilotro, the man the movie Casino is based on, who was rumored to throw people off the upper floors. The ghost story might be invented. The body count isn't. That's a hotel hiding a dead child behind a clown. The next one hides a graveyard behind a canal. The Venetian might be the least spooky looking place you can imagine. Gondolas, canals, a painted blue sky on the ceiling. but it is built directly on the grave of the Sands, the legendary Rat Pack Hotel where Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. ran this town, and where Howard Hughes and the mob quietly moved their money. They imploded the Sands in 1996 to build this, and people say the Rat Pack never left. Up in the halls, guests and staff have turned a corner and come face to face with men in sharp 1960s suits. One of them, unmistakably Sinatra, who hold their eyes for half a second and then simply aren't there. But the real hotspot is Madame Tussauds, the wax museum built right into the resort. And think about what that place actually is. A dim room full of perfect life-sized human figures, standing frozen in the low light. People walk through and swear the eyes follow them. They catch a hand that has moved since they passed it. A figure that's turned to face them. And every so often, somebody feels a cold hand settle on their shoulder, in a room where they are completely, provably alone. The Venetian's ghosts want to be seen. The next hotel has ghosts that want inside your head. And this one's easy to walk right past. That little black boutique hotel in the dead center of the Strip that today calls itself the Cromwell and is right now being rebranded yet again into the Vanderpump Hotel. But that shiny new name is a disguise. Underneath it is a building that has stood on this corner since 1979, when it opened as the Barbary Coast, a dark, Victorian, stained glass casino named after the most lawless red light district in old San Francisco, a whole neighborhood built on vice, gambling, and murder. Same building, same bones. It has just worn one name after another, the Barbary Coast, then Bill's Gambling Hall, then the Cromwell, and now Vanderpump, which is why the people who know this street call it the most restless address on the Strip, a building that cannot seem to hold on to what it is. And underneath all those names is the reason it's so restless. Because in its Barbary Coast years, this little casino quietly stacked up a body count. The stories tell of a string of suicides and sudden deaths in the rooms upstairs, and a man beaten to death in a fight down on the casino floor. People say he never left it, that there's a figure in old-fashioned clothes who still walks that floor, reliving the last minutes of his life, and the temperature drops wherever he passes. And up in the halls, there's a young woman in 1970s clothing, drifting from room to room. Everyone who's seen her says the same thing. The grief that pours off her is almost unbearable to stand near. But the worst of the Cromwell isn't something you see, it's something that gets into you. Guests check into a beautiful room, and within an hour something in them curdles. A black crawling dread that isn't theirs, thoughts they would never think. A sudden animal certainty that they have to get out of that room right now. Some are so shaken they check out in the middle of the night. And then there's the sound the staff won't talk about. Scratching, slow, deliberate scratching, coming from inside the walls. Not a rat, not the pipes. Fingernails, dragging, trying to get out, or trying to get in. So, that's the Strip. A pyramid that pulls people over the edge. A tower where the dead still smell like smoke. A child looking for a man named Robert. And a wax museum full of things that watch you. All of it standing on the graves of hotels that came before. And I'll be honest with you, the same way I have been all night. The fires, the mob, the murders, that history is real. And it's darker than anything anyone ever made up to explain it. Whether some of them are still here, in the rooms you can book tomorrow. That part, I'll leave to you. But here's the thing. Everything we just walked through is the new part of Vegas. The Strip is barely 70 years old. The oldest, darkest corner of this city is downtown. And that's where it really gets bad. There's a hotel down there called the Apache, where the elevator opens on floors that shouldn't exist. And staff have quit on the spot and walked straight out the door. There's the El Cortez, the oldest casino in the city, with a basement even the employees refuse to go into. And there's a museum down there that keeps what they say is the single most cursed object in America behind glass. Downtown might be scarier than everything you heard tonight. That's the next one. So, subscribe because you do not want to miss it. But before you go, tell me this. Which one of these would you actually spend a night in? The 12th floor of the Luxor? The upper floors of the old MGM? Or would you not set foot in any of them? Put it in the comments. And if there's a haunted Vegas hotel I left out, I want to hear about it. I'll see you downtown.